and each one's mission was to retouch his past according to the landmarks of an ideal history. Normally, it had to be captured a number of themes linked to those of the communist identity referential, elements already discussed, the social origin, seniority in the party, the activity within the party. All these issues were developed deeper and at an intimate level, providing details even about distant or by marriage relatives. In addition, within the institutional autobiography, the level of approximation and supplements is quite high. However, hardly could one find within this text untrue or indecent retouched details. That is because each institutional autobiography was subject to verification by the institution that carefully orchestrated this bureaucratic activity, the personal office of the party. As a result, the institutional autobiography became a historical source with a much lower degree of subjectivity compared with, let's say, a propagandistic biography. Alongside the institutional autobiography, there is also what we may call the literary autobiography, short autobiographical text, memoirs, testimonies, interviews. The usefulness of such sources lies in the much less rigid characteristic of literary autobiography. It was not subject to the limits and constraints that the questionnaire imposed to the institutional autobiography. On the other hand, the degree of subjectivity of such a speech cannot be accounted but by reference to other sources. In these circumstances, literary autobiography could become an important historical source only if it can provide supplementary information on the militant's past, but the validity of this information must be carefully considered by a permanent reference to other sources that can give us clues on the reliability of doubts on particular biographical sequences. And to sum up, the third type of discourse, the DGCP files or the Siguranță files, founded in 1921 as a branch of the Third Communist International. The Communist Party of Romania was outlawed in 1924. Since then, for 2 decades, the Romanian communism became a clandestine movement imposing to its members strict rules of conspiracy. The existence of each communist militant became a codified reality in which names, false addresses and identities and an almost impenetrable web of personal, professional relationship had primacy. Despite the Romanian communists' continuous efforts for conspiracy, few of their actions remain unknown to the state security police. Founded in 1919, Direcția Poliției de Siguranță, the security police department, was the police structure always had an eye on the entire activity of the Communist Party, particularly after 1924. For each of the underground militants, once they have entered in the records of the Siguranță, it was compiled a file in which his actions and activities were recorded. Also, a significant amount of data was registered into the, let's say, target objective files, which recorded the activity of organization and association considered to be camouflaged communist. Newspaper, magazines, professional association, union trades or student association. The image that these files offer us is that of a parallel universe of an entirely different existence in congress with the image of that was suggested by the myth-biographical or the autobiographical sources. It is not just the history of codenames, conspiracy houses, underground existence, but also the history of a sect with few adherents, most of them being socially marginalized, mediocre from an intellectual point of view, delators and traitors. We can find in these files the preposterous portraits of some trivial characters which often play a double role, being both communist activists and police informers, betraying their comrades with no regrets. But these files have their usefulness, thus it can help us revise some aspects of militants' biography on which there can be plenty of doubts. For example, these files can clarify the dilemmas regarding the militants' clandestine activity. Normally, the objectivity of these documents contained in these files should not be doubted, since we are speaking about official documents issued by a state institution. Even so, we must always consider the fact that the information that the police was recording arrived through different unknown channels. Moreover, there are no other sources that can confirm or refute the data consisted within these parts. To conclude, I would like to say that the idea that seems to persist in reading all these sources or this type of discourses is the permanent need for questioning on the subjectivity and accuracy of the studied documents. The past seems to be told from three different perspectives, and the impression remains that where there would be another type of source, we would have to deal with a new version of the past. Apart from this, my paper proves, if more was needed, that the communist propaganda was more than able to create heroes through augmentation of facts, to clever distortions, by gross addition, and by deliberate omissions. The party was creating the history that it did not have. Everything that could be heroic was rewritten from the founding history perspective as a past reconstructed to give a meaning to the present. My paper also challenges the argument that only an analytical and comparative study of all types of sources is capable to reflect the insight of life, of the lives that left such ambiguous evidences. The particular history of the interwar Romanian communism remains a subject on which historians will have to focus, not only the biographies on which we focused on the lines above, but the history of interwar communism has undergone during the communist regime a process of mystification that hindered the understanding of the phenomenon. A careful analysis of the sources will allow us to rewrite this history that, in fact, was never really written. Thank you.